Space isn't just beautiful and mysterious. It's quietly one of the scariest places you can possibly imagine. Let's start with the most obvious terror. If you suddenly appeared in space with no suit, you wouldn't explode like in the movies, but you'd still die horribly fast. There's no air. That means no oxygen, and more importantly, no pressure. Within about 15 seconds, you'd lose consciousness from lack of oxygen. Your lungs would try to breathe, but there's nothing to inhale. Your saliva would start to boil, not because it's hot, but because without air pressure, water turns to vapor. Your blood wouldn't boil, but gases in it would expand, swelling your body. You'd be freezing and boiling at the same time. In direct sunlight, parts of your body would heat up quickly. In shadow, you'd radiate heat away into the blackness. There's no air to carry heat around you, so different parts of you could sit at wildly different temperatures. You wouldn't last more than a couple of minutes. And that's just what happens to you. Now let's talk about what space itself is doing. All the time. Everywhere. Space is not empty. It's full of invisible threats. The first one? Radiation. On Earth, our atmosphere and magnetic field are like a giant shield. Solar radiation, cosmic rays, high-energy particles, most of it gets blocked before it ever reaches us. In space, that shield is gone. Astronauts are constantly bombarded by radiation that can slice through cells and damage DNA. Long missions, like a trip to Mars, would expose them to levels that seriously increase cancer risks and other health problems. Imagine standing in a quiet, beautiful place while an invisible storm of bullets gently passes through your body. That's what deep space is like. Then there's the vacuum. Vacuum sounds like nothing, but it behaves like a monster hungry to equalize pressure. If your spacecraft has a tiny crack, air will rush out, trying to fill the nothingness outside. You might not even hear it at first. By the time you notice, your oxygen might already be leaking away. One loose bolt hitting your ship at several kilometers per second can punch right through a wall. Speaking of high speeds, let's talk about orbital debris. Around Earth, thousands of dead satellites, broken fragments, and paint chips are racing around the planet at bullet speeds. A piece of metal the size of a grain of sand can hit with the force of a bomb because of how fast it's going. Now, imagine you're on a spacewalk. You're floating peacefully above the blue curve of Earth. Your lifeline is a thin tether and a fragile suit. And somewhere out there is a tiny shard of metal you'll never see coming from. If it hits you, that's it. But even debris and radiation are small threats compared to what's lurking beyond our orbit. Let's move out into the wider universe. First, there's darkness. Not just nighttime darkness, a kind of darkness that feels almost physical. In deep space, there is no sky, no horizon, no up or down. If you turned off every light and drifted away from your ship, you'd see nothing. Not your hands, not your feet, just endless black. Your brain is wired to find shapes, patterns, and reference points. In deep space, it gets none. You could spin slowly forever and never know which way you're facing. Now, mix that with the scale of everything. Space is unimaginably big, and that size is terrifying. The nearest star to us, other than the sun, is over 4 light years away. That means if you could travel at the speed of light, it would still take more than 4 years to get there. We can't even get close to that speed. if your spaceship lost power halfway, there's no Coast Guard. No one is coming. You would drift in silence for thousands or millions of years, frozen, alone, inside a metal coffin. And your ship would still not have crossed even a tiny fraction of our galaxy. Now let's talk about black holes. A black hole is a place where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. That alone is unsettling. But what makes black holes truly terrifying is what they do to space and time. As you fell toward a black hole, you'd experience something called spaghettification. It's exactly what it sounds like. The gravity pulling on your feet would be stronger than the gravity pulling on your head. So you'd stretch. Your body would be pulled longer and longer, molecule by molecule, until you're a thin stream of atoms spiraling into darkness. To a distant observer, as you fell in, time would appear to slow down for you. You'd seem to freeze near the edge forever. From your perspective, though, you'd cross that edge and never come back. Black holes are like cosmic traps. Once you cross a certain line, escape is literally impossible. Not with any rocket, not with any technology, not even with light itself. We don't just have one of these monsters. Our galaxy has millions of them. There's a supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. It's like a gigantic drain in the middle of our cosmic city. Now, move from black holes to something more subtle, but just as scary. Time. Time in space doesn't flow the way you think it does. According to Einstein, the faster you move and the stronger gravity is, the slower your time passes compared to someone else. That means astronauts on the International Space Station age just a tiny bit slower than people on Earth. Not enough to notice. But over huge distances and extreme speeds, this gets weird. Imagine leaving Earth on a near light speed ship. You travel for what feels like 10 years to you. When you come back, decades, maybe centuries have passed on Earth. Everyone you knew is gone. The world is unrecognizable. Space travel, at its extreme, can turn you into an accidental time traveler, trapped in the future. But maybe the scariest thing about space is what we don't know. We understand less than we think. Most of the universe is made of something we call dark matter and dark energy. We don't really know what they are. We only see their effects. Dark matter seems to hold galaxies together, like an invisible skeleton. Dark energy seems to be pushing the universe apart, making it expand faster and faster. In other words, the universe is mostly made of invisible stuff we can't see, can't touch, and barely understand. Then there's the loneliness. When you look up at the night sky, you're seeing stars that might already be dead. Their light has taken years, centuries, even millennia to reach us. The universe could be full of life. Or we could be completely alone. Both possibilities are terrifying. If we're not alone, then somewhere out there could be civilizations far older and more advanced than us. If they've mastered technologies we can't imagine, we have no idea whether they'd be friendly or not. If we are alone, then this enormous, cold, silent universe has produced life only once, here, on this tiny rock. That would make us incredibly rare and incredibly fragile. One asteroid, one gamma-ray burst, one random cosmic event, and the only known spark of conscious life could be gone. And speaking of gamma-ray bursts, let's talk about cosmic explosions. Sometimes massive stars die in violent events called supernovas. They release more energy in a moment than our sun will in its entire lifetime. Even worse are gamma-ray bursts. They are narrow beams of high-energy radiation that can blast across galaxies. If one went off close enough and pointed at Earth, it could strip away our atmosphere. We would never see it coming. No warning. Just a bright flash in the sky, and then extinction. Space is full of these random, unstoppable events. No intention, no malice, just mindless, enormous power. But here's the thing. For all its terror, space is also the reason we exist at all. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your cells, all of it was forged in stars. Those same supernovas that can destroy worlds are the explosions that created the elements we're made of. We're literally built from the ashes of dead stars, living on a small planet warmed by a middle-aged sun, sheltered by a thin atmosphere, tucked safely in a quiet corner of a galaxy. So yes, space is more terrifying than you think. It's deadly, indifferent, and beyond comprehension. But it's also beautiful, mysterious, and it's our home too, just on a much bigger scale than we're used to. In the end, the fear we feel when we look into the dark isn't just about space. It's about realizing how small we are and how fragile. And maybe that's exactly what makes our tiny, bright moment in this vast, cold universe so incredibly precious.